Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you for joining this project.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us something about your life at the moment?
Ooh, that's a very open question. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My life at the moment. Name is Mohammed Boota, and people call me Harry, but we'll come to that why it's called Harry. It's no doubt in the interview. I am living in Bradford at the moment. I'm 66 years old. In 2 weeks I'll be 67, inshallah. And, you're all welcome to my birthday party. And I'm retired, and my business is aromatherapy oils, massage oils. I supply essential oils and carrier oils to aromatherapists throughout the country, and I also send around the world as well. Sometimes I get orders from across the world. So alhamdulillah, it's a very lovely, beautiful business to be in. I'm always smelling nice.
That's great. So you were born in Pakistan?
Yes, alhamdulillah, I was born in Pakistan. My mother and father, my granddad, everybody, and even my nana, they all came from from India. And as far as I can recollect, I did used to ask the questions quite a lot, because I've been in the UK since 1967, but I was always interested in where we came from. And I remember that we came from a place called Jalandhar in India, and the chak was Chak Tali Chak. That's as much as I know, and I've always wished that one day I'll visit that place, Tali Chak, and just to find out, that following their footsteps, to see where they came from. It's an ambition of mine, one day to go to this Chak if I can find it.
So you said you came into the UK in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
So how old were you then? About 11?
11, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember anything about your life in Pakistan before you came here?
Yes, of course. I was Shararti. I was a Shararti 11-year-old. I was, I went to school. Obviously, I didn't go to school. I didn't want to go to school, but my dad couldn't kind of persuade me one day in a loving way that they do in Pakistan. And so I started going to school at the age of 5. But I never looked back from there, and I don't think I ever missed a day from school. Even when I came to this country, I never, what do you call it, when you snipe.
We used to call it wacky here.
Wacky, is it? You don't go to school. And I never skipped a day, I don't think. And so I passed 5 Jamaata, 5 classes or by the time I was 11. And so I was just about to get my Dakhla in the 6th form, where you start to learn English. They start teaching ABC from 6th form onwards. And I never got to that. I was just going to get Dakhla, and then my dad brought me here.
How did that come about?
Coming here. My father has been in the UK since 62. He came in 62. Obviously, there were a lot of migration going on in that time. And my father was he was a Sarbrar of the family, the head of the family in a way, because I've got 5 uncles and an auntie, and there were 6 brothers and 1 sister, mashallah. But he was always the leader of the family, if you like. He always led, and they all followed. So he managed to get to the UK in 62, and then he was here 5 years, and after 5 years you were able to go back in those days. And he came back for a few months, and then he brought me back with him. My brother was supposed to come with me as well, but my grandma, believe it or not, she took him back from the airport. She said, only take one. He was at the airport about to come on the flight with me, but she said, no, take one. And so, baniya banaya sab kuch wapas.
Why do you think that was?
She said, ek lega, he's the oldest one, enu lega. So I was the fortunate, unfortunate. I was the one here, and I back there, I was always out. I was fairly, very friendly, and You know, I used to play Bagran and Kaudiyan, you know, the old marbles. I used to love them. I used to have pocket full of them. I used to jit, you know, jeban pulliyan full of yan, and so yeah, and it was lovely. It was a lovely. I go to the village now, and there's nothing there. There's no life.
Where was it that you lived in Pakistan?
In Saiwal, and we lived in Chak Chianma 6R 96 6R. And you know, I go there now. There's no life. When I was there, you know, it used to be buzzing with character. There's no character left anymore. It's so sad. It's so sad.
And do you remember your journey here and your first impressions of the UK?
Oh goodness, journey here. I think the airline was called BOAC in those days, British Overseas Air Corporation. I think we had to stay the night in Karachi. And we flew over the next day. It was like 26th of October, I think it was. September, October. And we landed at Heathrow Airport. It was dark and dismal. It was so, I think it was foggy that day as well. It was raining. Never seen such dark, dismal days in Pakistan as I did that day. And that memory will always stick. And then we came here. And we got a coach. On the coach we came to Bradford. We lived on, I think my dad rented a place on Leeds Road in Thornbury area, and so that was my house. We came that day to Bradford.
What was the difference between the houses here and over there and the lifestyle of it when you first came?
You're coming from somewhere that's open with diwaran about that high between neighbours to closed up spaces that you can't breathe in, and especially if you're renting in those days, you know, you lived in I think we slept in the same bed, me and my dad. We only had one room, and I can't remember how he got me into the school. I started going to school somehow, somewhere. Probably it was compulsory, I suppose. My first school was called Hanson School. And we had a little mizzen hut on the side of the school. All the Asians that were learning English, they used to be in that class, in that little mizzen hut. And I always say that, you know, I learned my ABC in that school, and do re mi in the next one, and 1 2 3 in the one after that. And so I learned. They used to give these flashcards, you know, car, bus. That's how we learnt. Learnt the alphabet, and then they used to use flashcards to teach us how to learn English. And from there, I went into Tysel School. I progressed fairly quickly. I don't know how, but I did. I'm grateful to Allah. I did progress fairly quickly in lots of different ways. I thought I had a bit of intellect somewhere hidden that was brought to the surface. So I went to Tysel School, a few months there. Then I went to Undercliff's Junior, and I think I did quite well there. And there was a lad called Rais Hassan. He was from Karachi, if I remember. And he used to live on Bolton Road in Bradford, and right next door to him used to be the Sea Cadets. And he got me interested in going to the Sea Cadets. So that lad is the one who changed the look of my life, really. Because if I got to the Sea Cadets, I want to join the Navy, blah, blah, blah. So it all followed from that. And so I'm grateful to Rais. I went to see him when I stood for MP in 2015. He lives in Bradford, so I found him out, and I went to see him. But sadly, I was very disappointed with the meeting, you know. So I've not contacted him since.
Okay. What about the other differences from coming from Pakistan? What about the food and the lifestyle?
I'll tell you a funny incident, right? This is absolutely amazing, because in Pakistan, you know, if you want yogurt, the mum will say, "Oh, dahi wala aa gaya," in the streets, and he'll have a big pot full of dahi, like, you know, that is made overnight, and she'll have fresh yogurt, and you take your plate, and you go outside the street and just dumps a bit of yogurt in your plate, and you go in and have your breakfast. So my dad, he said, because he worked in the mornings, and I had to make my own breakfast and then go to school. You know, 11-year-old, you know, just left my mum, and so I had to do everything myself. Handi roti, sab kuch sikhata. So he said, "Suba get some yogurt in the morning, right, and then have you do your nashta and go to school." So I picked up a plate from the. I'm used to. The shop was around the corner. He just came out of the house, through the little ginnel, and the shop was on the corner. So I got my plate, went in the shop. I said, "Uncle, yogurt dena, dahi dena, hai na?" They picked up the dabbi and put it inside my plate. It was so funny. Oh, where's my yogurt?
So did you have to learn to cook?
Yes, handi roti pelle. Everything else afterwards. So yes, I learned to cook handi roti fairly well straight away. And then after, my dad would come back from work, and I'd come back from school early, obviously, and then I'll make the handi roti tiyar for him before he got to work. So I became like a young houseboy, a housewife, and everything.
Was there a lot of Asian people in the area at that time?
You know what? You only saw the Asians much. There were quite a few, and don't forget we didn't have baths or anything in the house. And we used to go to LePage Street, and there was a swimming bath at the top. And then we used to go and have a bath up there. I remember having a shower or a bath up there, right? But so all these Asians used to go, most Asians used to go and have a shower like that because they didn't have a bath or anything in the house, or they weren't allowed to have them in the house, something like that. But it's the life wasn't that nice, and I think one of you might take it, I don't know, the wrong way. Or please don't take it the wrong. But I found. Some of the habits of our people at the age of 11, 12 I wasn't finding pleasant. They used to throw handi rotis in the streets, and jowls in the streets for rats and pigeons to go accumulate.
So did
I didn't like that. I wanted to get out of Bradford as soon as possible.
Do you think they brought the habits from Pakistan?
Yeah, all the bad habits brought over here, and I think it got worse over the years rather than better.
And what did you think were the best experiences in that early time?
The best experience for me must have started when I joined the Royal Navy, when I joined the Sea Cadets. Because that opened up a lot of avenues and a lot of doors for me. It kind of catapulted my English language learning. How
old were you at that time?
14, I think 13, 14-ish. I said it. I used to, when I joined the Sea Cadets, after that we used to go on adventure training. We'll go on ships. We had a boat on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. You can go boating. We'll go boating in the Lake District. We had boats on there. So it was amazing. It's fantastic adventures that I had in the Sea Cadets. And I think this is what some of our kids, Asian kids, I highly recommend that they look at these different ways of passing their time as young, as teenagers, rather than the streets, is to go and find other RAF cadets, Sea Cadets, Army Cadets, and they will open a lot of doors for you. They will give you lots of interest that's lacking in other places, and I'm so grateful for that. It gave me a huge amount of pleasure just going there. And I used to look forward to going there every week, and I used to walk down to about 2-mile walk. And we'll walk down to the Sea Cadets and walk back late at night. And there was no fear of anything, We never have to worried about any kind of that you're going to get mugged or anything like that. So it was good, It was that kind of freedom was there. Not nowadays. The kids are sort of shielded and not allowed to be outside in case of this and that. I think these are false fears, and often something happens once somewhere in Timbuktu, right? And you just close your doors for the rest of your life, and it makes for bad living. It really does make for bad living. I think we need to get out of that mindset and give kids the freedom that they need. Because we've already got enclosed spaces here. In Pakistan, you can run around the field and go wherever you want to. But here, you've only got small streets to wander in.
When did you decide you wanted to go into the Navy, and how did your dad react to that?
Well, being in the cadets, the love for the Navy, obviously, it grew and grew. But I hadn't been in this country 5 years, and you couldn't become a British citizen until you've been in 5 years. But I'd applied for the. I'd, oh, I had to go to Leeds to the entry exam for before joining the Navy. And let me tell you a story about that. I was still at school, obviously, when I went and did the entry. I was 16, 15, 16. So I did that, and there was about 25, 26 people in there, and all English lads, right, come to do their entry exams, and I was the only Asian there who's been learning English. I'm not trying to sort of beat my own drum here, by the way. I was the only Asian there, but surprisingly, I'd got the top results out of everybody, and these people, I might have been intelligent, but also thick at the time as well, because what the people there in the careers office, they looked at my results, and they saw the potential that I shouldn't just be a normal person going in. I should be going down another line called the artificers branch, which is a intelligent, the more intellectuals branch, right? Which it speeds up your accelerates your advancements into the career in the career as well. And I said no. I said I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a radio mechanic and nothing else. And I had this thing in my head that you're going to be a radio mechanic. That's all you're going for. But I could have been a radio mechanic, but a lot higher up and got there a lot quicker as well. But I made a mistake there. But alhamdulillah, it worked out. Everything has a reason, and I really enjoyed my first 9-10 years in the Navy as a non-pressure job, if you like. And then they picked me up. What they did in 1972, in 1986 that happened. So they said, no, you don't belong here, right? You need to go in that branch. You need to be an artificer. So I became an artificer.
So tell us something about being the only Asian in maybe your ship. Were there any other ethnic minorities there? Were you the only one? How did the other people relate to you? How did you feel you fitted in?
As I said, I enjoyed my life as a lad. It was always difficult. I think 1970s was a very racist Britain. It was a very, very racist Britain when I joined the Navy. In a hugely racist Britain, we used to have Baba boys and skinheads used to come to Bradford, and I'm sorry to have to say this, but it was openly in the newspapers and Sun paper. You'll see, the skinheads going packy bashing and things like that. It was an open thing in those days. It was that bad, and I joined the Royal Navy in that thick of the thick of racist Britain. However, my mindset was that I want to succeed in this job. I want to, whatever happens, I want to complete my 22 years. Although my dad had difficulty trying to sign my papers, he won't sign my papers. I had to get somebody else to persuade him. But no, he did. I said, Dad, I'll join for 3 years, right? And please sign the papers and I'll be out. And after I was 18, he couldn't do anything. It was 22 years, that's it. But the racist side, it was very racist. But the will to succeed was more than anybody could, any racism they could throw on me. I did have very, very serious racist problems. I had nervous breakdowns with racism, but still got up and went every time. And in 73 when I joined, I think you probably know me as Harry, and a lot of the world know me as Harry. And in 73 when I joined the Navy, we all sort of do our first 6 weeks as joint training. Everyone, it doesn't matter which branch you're going to go into, we have 6 weeks of joint training, like a common training, just welcoming you into the Navy and initiating you basically. And it's a 6-week thing. And we used to have open dormitories with about 30 people in there, in each dormitory. And I had this, and everyone in the Navy, you'll have some kind of a nickname, and a lot of the nicknames are easy, which is like Smud Smith, Whiskey Walker, Dolly Knight. So if your name is Knight, Tug Wilson, And then they came to me and they go, well, yes, Muhammad. One says, Mo. And the other one goes, nah, let's call him Mong. And then there was this lad directly opposite me. His name was Tervoro, but we used to call him Bimbo. And he went, Harry, let's call him Harry. They all just went, Harry. That was it. Harry was born, in 1973, March off.
There's a lot of people from the 70s that I know as well that have English names like that. Do you think it's a part of England at that time that people couldn't be bothered to say your proper name properly and just give you an English name?
Well, it could have been, but I only know in a narrow sense itself, because like I said, I left Bradford in 73, and from there on, I turned my back on Bradford. I only came to see my dad once or twice a year during leave. But I do hear, I've got Ragbir Singh, who was at school with me at grammar school, and a friend of mine told me that his name is called something else. I don't recognise him as Ragbir Singh. And obviously it was a common knowledge, it was a common thing that people did. And even our MEP, that Peter Bashir, his name is Amjad Bashir, and he introduced himself as Peter Bashir. Well, where's Peter come from then, So even him, Peter Bashir, instead of Amjad. And that doesn't even go together, does it?
No.
Yeah. But people did, yes, they always adopted some kind of a recognisable name, that the English can easily pronounce and relate to, I think. And then fit in as well, of course.
So you said you're from Saiwal in Pakistan. During partition, where was your family originally from? Were they from Pakistan or did they?
No, I think I mentioned earlier on that they came from Jalandhar, Dalichak. So they settled in 90. I was in a village 97. I was born in 97, village 97, and then when I was about 3 years old, we moved to 96. And then there's 98 as well. So we've got relatives in 98, 97, 96. So we all settled in those three villages mostly, for my family side of things.
And do you have any stories of the migration time, the time in India in the last couple of years, leading up to partition and when they moved, the journey there?
A very sad one. I think the whole partition was very sad. A lot of people lost their loved ones, and including me. And I remember talking to my mum and getting her story. I think I've got an audio story of her as well, a little bits of it. I've got also trying to form my family tree as well. And I've got a record of, I'm trying to build my family tree, and before the elders have died away, I've been trying to sort of pick their brains and get some information. And what happened was, my nana, my mum's dad, he left my mum in Pakistan, in India, for whatever reason, right? And so they were in the camp. My nanny, my 3 masis, and 4 mummy. They were in the camp.
Where the camp? Where was the camp?
On the way, after the Ujada, so they left Jalandhar, everyone. So they're on a journey to Pakistan, to Saiwal, or to wherever. I think my nana ended up in Faisalabad, which used to be called Lalpur. So he came to Lalpur, and then we came to Saiwal. But so in the camp there was my nanny and then three masi and then 4 mamme. My mum always cried. My mum, she was left in India. She was the only that one survived. All 8 died.
On the way.
Nobody survived except my nana.
And he'd gone on his own, did he? Yeah.
Then he came to Lalpur, and my mum is only 15, 16, came from India. Somehow she said, my first love chandi not ke look, She escaped from wherever she was in India, and she found him in Lalpur.
That's
Somehow.
amazing, isn't it? That she managed to find him.
And then,
Was somebody helping her?
I don't know. And then she found him. Then they moved from there to Okada, which is near Saiwal. And then my granddad, obviously some relations there were our relations back in India. And then my dad and my granddad went to see them for Ishta, my nana, for my mum, and who was the only survivor from the whole family. And then my dad obviously liked her, and they did a Ishta, they did a nikah and got married. But then the other sad story is that my mum, she was she couldn't conceive. So for 8 years, 7-8 years after the marriage, there was she wasn't conceiving. And my grandmother was kind of nasty as well in lots of ways, and she was telling her, my dad, to, "Kor shadi kalla, hor shadi kalla, na tenu koi bachcha nahi de rahi," And my mum used to tell me that, she used to do all sorts of chille, piran fakiran de, tweeds, She said I used to go to the duel at 9-12 o'clock at night. I used to go into a bath there because some peer told her this is what you need to do to go through this ritual to conceive. And then eventually she did. She got conceived me after 7 years.
And what about your? Do you know about your dada's family, your dad's side of the family? When they came from India to Pakistan, do you know anything about their journey?
I don't know the journey that much between settling in Saiwal and Jalandhar from my grandfather's side of things. All I know is my father came first, being as I mentioned before, that he was the sabra, the head of the family. And he always did things, and so he came, and you had to come and take the hattas that were allocated to you, or however that was allocated, and then he came and did the qabza on the hattas in Saiwal, and then all the rest of the family came. Then Mataya, my chache, char chache, and my auntie, my popo, and all that family. We all settled in one street, and 5 or 6 hattas that we occupied. So that's so they must have come as a group, all together. And Alhamdulillah, I think everybody on my granddad's side survived their journey. But it was harrowing, I said, some came on foot and some on trains and buses, etc. But they managed to somehow settle in Saiwal. My grandma's side, my grandma was 6 sisters. So we've got people, her side settled in Sindh,
Is that your?
My grandma, my daddy. So her side settled quite in different areas, like the 90, Tanamachak in Saiwal, that was my grandma's sister. Okada was my grandma's sister. Sindh was my grandma's sister. Harunabad was my grandma. So it was 6 sisters, and that's how it then. when everybody started having children, all my uncles and things, then my grandmas will take, Taily grandma, marry one over there, marry one over there. So they started swapping between the grandmas, everybody. And I think I was a lucky one where my mum, she was the outsider from, not related to my grandma's side. So I was lucky from that side.
So when these families went to Pakistan from India, the government or the powers that be allocated them places to live.
Yeah.
But some families were separated, like you're saying. Some went to Sindh, some went to Okara. So they were separated. Were they not able to stay together, or did they just have to go where they were given the space?
No, I think it was a choice for them, because I said my grandma's sisters, they were already married. to their respective husbands. And so their husbands must have been already there in Sindh. For example, they had a Jaidat there, and there's Jaidat in Harunabad. One was married there, so they were settled there previously, probably already. And then we had, Rishtadari in Lahore as well, which is just across the border from India, Indian border from where we came from. So yeah, they were settled in different places, but not because of separation, but because I think they were already roots in those places previously.
So you brought some pictures with you today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me about some of the pictures?
Which ones? Show me one. So this is the only ones I could find really. I took these off the passport of my dad and my mum, and I don't know how my nana's. They must at some stage made a passport photo for him, right? But he never made it anyway. But this is my nana, my mum, and my granddad in those pictures. So this is from 1962, and this one here is in those days, in the 70s, and in the 60s, it used to take about 6 months to go and do Hajj. They used to go by sea, and obviously my dad came here to the UK, saved some money, and he was the first person. I think it was my granddad and grandma was the first ones to go to Hajj in the 60s from our village, whole village. Nobody's ever been to Hajj.
So this is when they came back?
This is when they came back to got Hars on, and my brother, my younger brother, my middle brother's there, my chacha's there, and my chacha's son. There's a lovely memories on that one. That's the only picture I've got of my grandma as well. And this is this is me getting the after 15 years in the Navy, you get what's called a long service medal, and so I qualified to get my long service medal, but the racism played its part in that again. So this is a very poignant picture for me. It's a very special picture because they wanted to post the medal out to me, right, not present it to me. And when I heard about that, I was so upset because everybody else got presented on the, on these divisions and things, what we call divisions, where they parade together and march together. And they wouldn't present it to me, right, because racism was a huge part in that. And so I sort of dug my heels in. I said, you're going to present it to me, whether you like it or not, on there. So I made them present that medal to me on that picture.
Well done for that.
Yeah. So it was, I said, I fought against racism throughout in the Navy. This is my mum eventually came to UK for about 3 years, and this is a picture of them together in the house.
When was that? When did she come?
1986.
And she only stayed for 3 years.
Well, she was forced to stay for 3 years because when I came home one day, I saw my mum bubbled up like that, and she had no friends to talk to. She had no one. She'd just get up in the morning, make breakfast for my dad. He'll go to work. He'll come back at night. They'll eat, sit in front of the TV, and then go to sleep. And that was her life. There was no friends to talk to, nowhere she could go out. He won't take her anywhere. So she just blew up like a balloon in 3 years.
So she wasn't happy. She didn't like the life here.
Whether she was happy or not, in those days nobody spoke up. Wives didn't speak up about their unhappiness, and husbands were usually blind to that kind of thing anyway. They won't. As long as they get the food on the table, they're going to be monkeys about what anybody feels. It's very sad, really. So I then told my dad, I says, excuse me, I says, you made a jail for yourself in this country, right? Please don't put my mum in jail as well. Can you send her back? At least she's got grandchildren to play with, everybody else. So I've forced him to sort of send her back, and I'm so glad I did in a way.
How did your mum feel about
that? You know what? She died. She passed away 3 years ago in Alila. My dad passed away in 2001. I think only Allah knows best, but I think she got the quality of life in Pakistan that she deserved. Right, the people who were always coming, visiting, that company. She had 3 years of loneliness here. So from that perspective, yes, I think she was probably grateful. But then the Vachoda of her husband being here and all that. But she had the all her life, from 1962 onwards. She's had the loneliness from as far as the marriage is concerned. But at the same time, she had all her children there, and everybody else, So I think
she had a better quality.
I think she had a better quality of life, and so I'm kind of grateful in a way that I did what I did. But somebody suffers somewhere through the decisions. Yeah. So any more? Once it's gone off, I got pain. Oh yes, this is this one's I think I'm sure you get better ones.
Officer and a gentleman picture.
This is officer and a gentleman. I don't. How long have you known me? How long is a German gentleman? But officer, yes, I suppose. This was taken in Jebel Ali in the UAE in 1991. 1991 during the first Gulf War. So I was based out there.
So how many wars have you fought in for England?
I've been in 2 wars. In 1982 I was in the Falklands War, and then obviously in the Saddam's War as well.
And what was the name of the ships that you served on?
This is mine in tropical uniform. That is an officer and gentleman. HMS Brilliant was the ship that I served in the Falklands. So you've got a picture of this plaque. This plaque, I'm sure you'll get a close-up of it later on. But this plaque, it was done by my brother-in-law. He used to work in engravers in Havant, in Portsmouth, near Portsmouth. And when I came back from the Falklands War, he took the badge of my ship, the crest of my ship, and he made this specially for me, and underneath it says, "Welcome home, Harry, South Atlantic, 1982. So it's a very, very nice, very beautiful present he presented to me when I came back as a survivor from the Falklands, because Falklands was, a lot of people died. We had 255 people die, and to survive that was I think still have nightmares about things, and I think I got diagnosed PTSD about 3 years ago. Only took like 40 years for them to diagnose it. But don't forget, we used to come back from any war. It doesn't matter what you've seen, what you've done. You never used to get any help. You never got any. Nowadays these firefighters or policemen, they have a little bit of riot and then they go down for counselling, And we just come back from sinking ships and dying people and things like that, and you just go home and have your leave. No help whatsoever. So it took many years of heartache, family breakups, being away from children, estranged from my children, etc., for them to diagnose PTSD in the end. And so I then got some counselling, 12 sessions of counselling last year.
Did that come as a relief that it's been diagnosed and you got some help for that?
Yes, but the sad thing is, what have I lost in between? I lost so much. But then again, it's something that has to happen. That's just life. You know what I mean? But it could just one switch of a flick of a switch, and your life can change in many ways. But you just suffer silently, and you end up damaging your children. They don't know what's going on, and you don't know what's going on because no one's talked to you about it of your own issues. So, and everybody sort of falls around you until one day somebody goes, "Oh, there must be a problem here. Let's have a look at it." And I'm thankful to this doctor in Bradford who one day diagnosed, "You got PTSD." I said, "Yeah, I've had it for years. Nightmares I have a, one of my best friends died on one of the ships as well. That was a total heartbreak.
What do you think the best things are about you coming here to the UK? Is the Punjabi still inside you? Are you still Punjabi? Do you still consider yourself as a Punjabi?
एक दफा Punjabi, always Punjabi. Of course, a Punjabi never leaves you. You identify as a Punjabi. We speak Urdu. हम उर्दू भी बोलते हैं, मगर पंजाबी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜ਼ਬਾਨ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ। ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਤੇ ਪੱਕੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਆ। I've been here for so many years, considering when I first came in 67 and I went back in 75, 76, I couldn't speak. Because I was living with my Goras all the time, speaking Gora language and English all the time. I went back to Lahore and I had to spend the night there with my relatives because I couldn't speak a word of Apni Zaban. So my auntie, God bless her, she fed me hot milk all night, and I sliced the Zaban kolni shuru ki. So I could say salam to everybody. So then I went to Saiwal after that, the day after, being able to say something, but I couldn't custom se main Zaban bhul gaya si.
But in that meantime, is that while the time that you were in the Navy, you must have had contact with your mom and your brothers and sisters?
Very little. I was completely isolated, man. I thank God I'm just left kind of thing. But when I went to the Falklands, I said I'm going to war, and then they did a sadqa for me there, did everything. So they used to do things, but me, I just sort of went in the world and just sort of didn't look back kind of thing. But then after that experience of forgetting the language for that long, in such a short time, I said, wherever I go, main apni zuban zarur bolni hai. And so I've kept that going since. And it's lovely to, it's lovely to.
How do you think your life would have been different if your brother came instead of you?
Allah knows. But I think I'm the one who's more for enterprising, and I'm the more entrepreneurial person. So we would have had a business together somehow. I think we would have had some kind of a business together. Boota brothers, something.
And once again, what were the best things of coming here? When you look at the lives of your siblings that are in Pakistan and your life, it's very different.
Oh, absolutely different.
What do you think were the best things that you've got out of coming here?
A career that opened a lot of avenues for me. It opened intellectually. It took me to places where I probably would never have been in Pakistan. Given me the opportunities to excel in things I wanted to excel in. I had a choice. I went to the Navy. I wanted to be. I didn't want to become an officer. I just wanted to become as far as a chief, because that's a God position as far as Navy is concerned, right? Because everybody below you has to look up to you, and everybody above you have to look down to you. And that's where I got to. So Alhamdulillah, gave me that opportunity to get to where I wanted to go. At the age of 17, I was planning my pension, that I want to join the Navy, I want to do my 22 years, I want to get my pension after 22 years, and I can go and sit in Pakistan, and I've got money coming in from back here, and that was the kind of vision I had. That's one of the reasons for joining, was to get that future-proof my retirement, if you like.
You mentioned before that you stood for MP in passing.
Yes.
So what made you go into politics, and do you think politics is an easy game for Punjabis?
Politics is not an easy game for anybody, never mind Punjabis, It's, politics, even if you're a rich person, like, let's say Rishi Sunak is a billionaire, right? Why is he a Prime Minister? He doesn't need money. But money does not give you the power to change things like politics can, right? So if you want to change the future of somebody else for the better, or in some people's minds for worse, like Rishi, then you just become. I'm not in Conservatives. I'm not in Labour either anymore. But people come into politics for different reasons. Some for personal gain, some because they are genuinely workers. They want to make life better for the community around them. And my ambition has always been to make things better for people around me, because alhamdulillah, I've got what I have, and I'm grateful for all I have. And so if Allah's given me the knowledge and the energy, I just had a bit more health, would have been wonderful, but we'll get there inshallah. But if through that I can make life better for somebody else, that's my job done. And that's what I look forward to doing. That's what politics is. It's not hard, easy game. It's very, very hard. But as long as you've got the ambition, you've got the fight within you, then you can make life better for yourself and others as well. So go for it. I think a lot more of our Punjabis need to be in politics. Don't be afraid to take that step. And what it does is it allows you to meet people as well. You interact with lots of different people, and it's could be the best cure for depression. But at the same time, it can turn you into, give you a lot of depression as well if you get it wrong. One wrong tweet and you're gone, like I've just done. And sadly, so it's today the social politics is decided by social media. It's done on social media, and that's not right.
So coming back to migrating from Punjab, the first generations of people that came here, they always had it in their mind that one day they'll go back. Have you ever considered going back to Punjab to live? And why not?
Let me let me dwell on that for half an hour. So, how could you? What we can do? I mean, that was the idea of the original, people that came, our ancestors that came. It was their idea that we'll make a few bob here, send it back, make life better for us, and then we'll go back and enjoy our fruits of our labours. But once you've ਉਹ ਚਸਕਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਨਾ ਪੈਸੇ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਦਾ, then it's very difficult for you to go back and living on in where the conditions are like down there. So why would I want to go back into that situation? So people have had this idea that they will, but they never did. As far as I'm concerned, at my age, at my stage in life, which is, I'm now retired, I've got a state pension, I've got my Navy pension, and with this kind of income that I have already got coming in now, I want to enjoy best of both, right? Because I've got that home and I've got this home, and I can enjoy the warmth of that one when it's cold here, and vice versa, and that's what my ambition is, to enjoy both now, because being Punjabi or from Pakistan, I have got best of both worlds, alhamdulillah.
What made you volunteer for this project?
I was, as I said to you before, that we need to preserve history. We need to, whether it's oral history, pictures, videos, or just written history. I started compiling my own sort of family tree many years ago from all the elders that were surviving. All the elders have passed away now, but none of my old elders are left now from that generation. My chacha died about 3 years ago, and that was the last one of my family. So over the years, I've been building up my who's your mother and dad, and who's your blah blah blah. So I've got a book, and I'm putting it on the computer now, of how much I try to gather that information for my own family to sort of appreciate and say, look, there's your ancestors, And I can only go so far. But even that, when I used to go, so मेरे दादे ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਨਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਅੱਬੇ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਸੀ, ਤੇਰੀ ਅੰਮੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਸੀ, ਉੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਨਾ, ਫਿਰ ਤੇਰੇ ਪੜਦਾਦੇ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਸੀ, ਤੇਰੀ ਪੜਦਾਦੇ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਦੱਸ ਦੇਣਾ, ਪੜਦਾਦੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉੱਥੇ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਿੱਲੋ ਬੋਲੋ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਜੀਲੋ no full names, honest to God. So I've got some of the things I've got now and it's just their nicknames, Dulla Abdullah, obviously, Baba Rulia, Baba Rulia, what's his full name? Baba Rulia again. So preserving history in whatever form you can is a good thing, and I'm glad I volunteered for this. Hopefully that one day my story can be, somebody can look at it and relate to it. And so it's good to, that's why I volunteered, to leave something for the future generations. I mean I always feel that I'm here in this world and one day leave a positive legacy that people remember me by, and that's what my ambition is, inshallah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm grateful for this Punjabi Lives project, and I just want to say thank you to and I want to wish you the best of success with your project, and hopefully if I can help in any other way, I'll be grateful to do so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.